And I sort of vacillate whether or not he's some. So actually, I think we should go to this. Somebody asked if Graham Platner should drop out. I think it's a little soon for that.
Yeah.
His lead, it's surviving the scandal to a certain extent now. Granted, this is a Platner campaign internal poll, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yep. Let me say this. I, in my day, ran a lot of Republican attack campaigns and smear campaigns. I know one when I see one. The person making these allegations works for the Heritage Foundation and for what's called the Independent Women's Forum, who ran Ladies for Kavanaugh. I'm just going to have a little grain of salt here at this moment. And while she portrayed herself to the New York Times as, basically out of politics or whatever, she works for the Independent Women's Forum and has worked for Heritage in the recent years. I'm sorry, grain of salt.
Yeah.
And is Graham Platner a perfect guy? Absolutely not. You know what?
No.
He's I would go so far as to say Graham Platner's kind of an asshole. But you know what Graham Platner will not do? He will not do what Susan Collins just did and vote to approve the president's illegal payoff slush fund. He will not do what Susan Collins does over and over and over and over and over and over again, which is to vote to approve Trump's appointees and Supreme Court justices and nominees for everything. He will not do what Susan Collins does and pretend she's going to vote against something or vote against something in committee and then vote for it on the floor, backing Trump 97% of the time. So at this point, the stakes are very, very high in this country. And if you believe for a moment that the Republicans would not let would not let their own version of Platner sit in the Senate, you'd be mistaken, because that person is there right now.
Yeah, already there.
Several of them are there right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear shit about fuck, as I like to say,
when
it comes to this moral perfection argument. Susan Collins has to go.
No,
I don't
she
care
doesn't.
how she goes. And look, again, Platner is imperfect. We all are imperfect. And the idea you're going to have one standard for Democratic candidates and another for Republican candidates, and that the Republicans are going to guilt the Democrats into saying, oh, well, you said believe women during Kavanaugh. Guess what? The person making the accusations is a political activist, operative, and member of the vast right-wing conspiracy whose groups are paid by people like Leonard Leo and so on. This is not the clean hit Republicans think it is. And again, I've run these campaigns for Republicans in the past, guys. I know what this smells like, looks like, and is. Hello, young lady.
I think it, regardless of the source and who it's coming from and how true it may or may not be, I think it's just a sort of a dirty bomb strategy where they're just going to throw it out there and hope that they can do enough damage with this, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Yep.
That it appears to me to be the strategy.
Yeah, and by the way, yes, Susan Collins has also been involved, and it was involved in a long-running adulterous affair. And I know you're thinking, "Ooh, Susan Collins, that dirty girl." But yeah, so I don't want to hear again. I just don't want to hear about these things. I don't know. Maybe the person she was in an affair with felt sexually harassed. Yeah, Drew, that's a good point. Because let me tell you something, Marines and soldiers and young guys who go in the military do stupid shit, like get tattoos they shouldn't get. There's a lot of stupidity in the world, especially when you're young and don't have a fully formed prefrontal cortex. So anyway, situation in the Senate. Look, Maine is going to be a linchpin, but I feel great about Alaska. I feel great about North Carolina. I'm increasingly optimistic about Ohio and Iowa. I mean, there are several paths here. I would like to see what happens in Michigan. I'm a little nervous about Michigan right now. I think McMorrow would have cleaned the clock. I don't know that we're going to get the same outcome with Syed. And he's sort of a beloved guy on the progressive side right now, but I have a sort of sense of Wisconsin Part 2.
Yeah, I think that's a sort of developing tension, and we'll see. You could make a similar argument about somebody like Talarico.
Sure.
But he does not sell himself as, necessarily a progressive. He's a Christian Democrat and sort of a.
Listen, Talarico is doing just fine. You know what? Here's what they've revealed in terms of Talarico, that he actually does eat barbecue and that he has a hot girlfriend. Oh no, those are the worst things ever. They got him now. Listen, here's what's happening with Paxton and why they're doing it this way. They're not really attacking Talarico. They're going after their own base and trying to get the base reassembled after a very bitter, divisive primary where Cornyn and Paxton went at each other with hammer and tongs. And so they're trying to get the MAGA base fired back up again. We have not seen a big shift in the polling out there. It's got Talarico with a decent lead, not huge, but for Texas, very commendable.
Yeah.
And culture wars are where Democrats go to die. And you'll watch Talarico over and over again when he gets these culture war bullshit attacks, switch and say, well, you know what? That, okay. But you know what? That doesn't help you pay for gas. That doesn't help you have more affordable health insurance. That doesn't help any Texas family do one bit better for their kids and their future. And as Mike Madrid says over and over again about Hispanic voters, they want the entrepreneurial future for their families.
Right.
And Paxton's not making an argument for that.
No.
He's making an argument for stasis and working backward. And I think the more that Talarico continues this economic drumbeat, the better off he is, and the more immune he is to the culture war garbage. Look, I advised a statewide candidate just the other day who asked me, like, well, what do I do when they keep asking me about the trans stuff? I'm like, you look straight at your opponent and you say, you seem to think about other men's penises an awful lot. Why is that? Well, why are you so obsessed with other people's genitalia? Is it just a hobby of yours, or
it's
that's
a
just
compulsion
weird
for them, I think.
And they can't answer that question.
No,
they cannot answer that question.
No, it's because it's not a deeply held belief. I mean, and for somebody like Ken Paxton, these culture war things are not relevant to him. He is running for office to enrich himself, just like Donald Trump. This is just a cudgel, to convince people that Democrats are evil, satanic lizards, and that nobody can vote for them. That's
the lizard people.